The transport ship drifted through the border region of the outer spiral, where patrols were rare and tensions rose with every passing cycle. Among the crew was a human technician named Leon, who preferred to stay unnoticed. He had joined the mission only because he needed passage to a research post on a nearby moon. Humans were common enough in mixed fleets, but this crew happened to include a species that seldom allowed humans near their elite ranks. They were called the Velen, known for their tall stature, crystalline bone structure, and a reputation for strict martial codes. The crew was commanded by a Velen warrior named Lyra, whose armor was marked with geometric patterns showing victories earned through years of discipline. Combat. Leon had seen her only from afar during the first few days. He avoided interacting with high-ranking officers because he liked to remain in the lower decks, where small repairs kept him busy. But the universe did not care about personal preferences. The mission shifted abruptly when a distress signal reached them from a nearby station. The signal carried no clear message, only a pulse of power that indicated trouble. The ship's captain diverted course, and the entire crew prepared for unknown risk. Lyra, as second in command, oversaw the preparation. She strode through the corridors in full armor, her steps measured with purpose. When she reached the maintenance bay, she found Leon working under a console with tools scattered around him. She watched him for a moment, noticing how quickly he reassembled a panel that other engineers took much longer to fix. She spoke with a tone that left little room for hesitation. She asked if he could assist the boarding teams by keeping systems stable during possible combat situations. He agreed without argument. He always preferred to stay out of the way, but refusing a direct order from an officer like her was unthinkable. When the ship reached the station, they found the structure dark except for the faint glow of emergency lights. Docking was difficult because the local control grid was offline. Leon worked fast to connect external power from their ship to the station's damaged systems. His hands moved automatically as he matched cables and bypassed broken parts. Lyra watched him again, impressed by his calm approach. Once the airlock opened, the boarding teams moved through the corridors. The station looked abandoned. Doors were sealed, lights flickered, and a silent tension filled the air. Lyra led the advance while Leon remained in the rear, carrying a portable panel to monitor power fluctuations. They passed laboratories and storage chambers until they reached a central chamber where the damage was most. Severe. Inside the chamber they found strange. Patterns burned into the walls as if energy bursts had carved spirals of molten metal. The air felt heavy. Something had happened here that none of them understood. Lyra raised her weapon and signaled for the team to spread out. Leon stayed near the entrance, recording the power readings that jumped unpredictably. A sudden tremor shook the station. Panels blew apart and alarms blared. A hidden device in the chamber activated without warning. Streams of energy spiraled across the room. Leon reacted faster than expected. He rushed forward and grabbed a loose cable that sparked violently. He used his entire weight to pull it away from a damaged coil that threatened to overload. The energy stream struck the floor instead of the team, saving them from serious harm. But the surge hit Leon across the shoulder and sent him crashing into a pillar. Lyra rushed to his side. Her armor shielded her from the residual heat, but she could see the burn marks on his suit. Leon staggered to his feet and insisted he was fine. His voice was steady, even though the pain was obvious. Lyra's eyes softened, though her posture remained rigid. She ordered the team to secure the device. Once they stabilized the chamber and restored limited power, they returned to the ship. Leon walked without complaint, even though his arm trembled from the injury. Lyra walked beside him with a look of silent respect. Back on the ship, Leon received treatment from the medical unit. His burn was not life-threatening, but the muscle strain would take time to heal. Lyra remained nearby while while the medics worked. The crew had begun to whisper about the human who protected the team. Humans often surprised other species with their unpredictability, but an act like this gained attention even among the disciplined Velin. Later that cycle, Lyra found Leon in a quiet lounge where he sat with his arm wrapped in a support brace. The hum of the ship filled the silence. She approached him in a formal manner as she always did, but her tone carried something unfamiliar. She asked what reward he wished for service beyond expectation. He blinked in confusion. He had not expected any reward. To him, it was instinct. He responded with a nervous smile. He said, "You," in a light tone that he assumed would be recognized as a harmless joke. He expected her to ignore it or instruct him to choose something appropriate. Instead, she stood motionless. The Velin did not understand human humor in the same way. The phrase was interpreted through a cultural filter that equated such a request with a bond of trust. To choose a person as a reward was not a request for affection, but a declaration that one believed the chosen individual represented the highest value of character or honor. Among the Velin, this was considered a formal and serious choice. Lyra processed his words in complete sincerity. Without hesitation, she removed her armor piece by piece. Her armor was not simply protective gear, but a symbol of rank and duty. Removing it in front of someone declared openness and willingness to acknowledge a new form of connection. The metal plates clicked softly as she set them aside until she stood wearing the simple fabric underlayer used between missions. Leon stared in disbelief. He had meant it as a casual joke, but the situation had turned into something ceremonial for her. She stood straight and steady, her expression calm. She told him she accepted his request and offered her service and protection in return. This confused him further. He scrambled to explain that he had been joking, but his words came out tangled. Lyra considered his reaction thoughtfully. She did not appear offended, only curious. She asked if he had spoken without intent. He nodded quickly. She stepped closer and told him that intent mattered more than phrasing. She had seen him risk himself to protect the team and believed his instinct aligned with the values her people honored. Whether his words were meant seriously or not, she had recognized sincerity in his actions. Leon felt overwhelmed, but also touched by her interpretation. He attempted to clarify that humans often used humor to ease tension. She listened carefully and nodded. She told him that despite the misunderstanding, she did not regret her response. She explained that in her culture, removing armor for someone was not a romantic act, but a sign of trust and recognition. It meant she regarded him as someone worthy of honest transparency. The days that followed shifted the dynamic between them. Lyra began to include Leon in more strategic discussions because she valued his analytical skills. The crew also treated him differently, offering respect that humans did not always receive in mixed-species missions. Leon adjusted to the new attention with awkward patience. A new problem emerged when they received another signal related to the incident from the station. Data fragments suggested that the energy surge Leon had diverted was part of an experiment involving interdimensional resonance. If the device reactivated, it could destabilize nearby systems. The ship had to track the source of residual pulses that indicated the experiment had continued elsewhere. Lyra chose Leon to accompany the primary team. She told him that his familiarity with the device pattern made him essential. They traveled to an abandoned relay point hidden in a cluster of debris. As they approached the structure, they detected low energy readings, similar to those at the previous site. Inside the relay, they found a core chamber with unstable energy coils. Leon immediately recognized the danger. The coils vibrated at unpredictable intervals. If they overloaded, the entire relay could collapse into a gravitational tear. Lyra ordered the team to secure an escape route, while Leon examined the console. He worked with steady focus, despite the growing heat. His earlier injury made each movement stiff, but he ignored it. He realized that the energy buildup could be reversed by rerouting power into the outer conduits. But someone needed to hold a manual override lever that had broken into two sections. The lever required pressure from both sides. One person could not activate it alone. Lyra stepped beside him. She placed one hand on one section of the broken lever. She told him that she would hold the left side if he held the right. Together they pulled. The metal resisted, but finally shifted. Power surged into the conduits. The vibration slowed. The chamber lights steadied as energy redirected safely as the system stabilized. Leon slumped from exhaustion. Lyra caught him before he fell. She guided him away from the chamber, while technicians secured the area. When they returned to the ship, she waited beside him again during medical treatment. The connection between them grew stronger not through misunderstanding, but through shared danger and earned trust. In the cycles that followed, Leon and Lyra spent more time together. She wanted to understand human humor. He wanted to understand Velen customs. They exchanged stories of their homeworlds, though he kept his simple while she described her culture with detail. Her voice carried a gentle pride when she spoke about the codes she lived by. One evening she asked once more about tea.